Alright, I believe we're live finally. Let me just check YouTube and make sure we are up and going. I believe we are. Indeed, we are live. Alright, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, March 9th, 2026 at 4:14 p.m. Eastern Time. Started the stream earlier than I thought I would, but that's okay. Today was NFL free agency frenzy, at the beginning of it at least. Free agency period opened up at noon today. We saw a couple moves a couple days ago, and some moves happening right before free agency opened. We saw Max Crosby get traded to the Ravens over the weekend, so that cleared up some cap space for the Raiders. We saw Tua Tagovailoa got cut today, which means the Dolphins went looking for a new quarterback. They did, and they did sign him, which I'll get to here in a little bit. But NFL free agency open today. We're still waiting for a couple guys, a couple of big guys. Trey Hendrickson being the big target to find his new home. But we've had a lot of big moves go down today. We got a lot of big things to talk about. So I'm gonna go over NFL free agency real quick. Or at least what's going on today. Basically, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hop over to my screen. We're gonna go to Adam Schefter's Twitter page. I'm gonna talk about the majority of the moves, see what the team made it, as well as whether I like the signing or not, and how much it helps those guys, if it's positioning or not. So let's head over to the old Twitter. And let's break this down piece by piece. Ooh, including a new one. So, former Chargers defensive end Odafe Oweh reached an agreement today on a 4-year deal worth $100 million, with $68 million guaranteed, with the Washington Commanders. I think for the Commanders, their biggest things are going to be, can they get some work done in the trenches? They had the players in the skill positions. The trenches just need some work. They did make a trench move today, which I'll get to later, but this does help them on the defensive line front, and some help with the pass rush for the Commanders. The Cowboys are nailing a deal for safety Jalen Thompson. Seahawks edge Boye Mafe has reached a 3-year, $60 million deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. It looks like he's mainly just going to be Trey Hendrickson's replacement. It looks more and more like Trey Hendrickson is going to a new team, with Polymarket even saying that there's a 70% chance he goes to the Dallas Cowboys. But essentially, the Bengals essentially needed anything to help out with them on defense, because their defense over the last couple seasons has really held them back for the most part over these last couple of years. And so they get some big help with Super Bowl champion Boye Mafe. We saw a lot today. The Seahawks unfortunately well, at least unfortunately for them, they had to pay the Super Bowl tax. They've lost a lot of great talent today. But we'll get to the rest of those. Second, Mafe. Case Keenum's re-signing with the Chicago Bears. Not the biggest deal. We all know who their starter is. It's going to continue to be. So he's mainly just going to be their backup. Caleb Williams. Packers are going to be releasing 2-time Pro Bowl center Elgton Jenkins. Interesting move there. Former Browns defensive end Cameron Thomas is going to go to the Falcons, so they get a little bit of depth on the defensive line. Safety Brian Cook is heading to Cincinnati, 3 years, $42.5 million. This helps Cincinnati's secondary. Again, Cincinnati's defense has been generationally bad, and that's not me exaggerating. The Bengals defense has been generationally bad. If my fan's loud, I apologize, but it's hot as hell in my room right now. But Bengals get some help on the defensive side of the ball. Titans reached an agreement with former Saints cornerback Alontae Taylor. It has been a very busy day today for the Tennessee Titans, who are really spending a lot in free agency. Maybe not as much as some of the other top teams, but they're definitely getting a lot of positions of need here today. And it's 3 years, $60 million for Alontae Taylor. Helps the Titans out with their secondary. Down, Denver Broncos and J.K. Dobbins have agreed to a multi-year extension. Obviously, we saw J.K. Dobbins get hurt near the end of last season. But when J.K. Dobbins was healthy, he was a dominant force to be messing with for the Denver Broncos offense. Broncos did suffer some really unfortunate injuries this season, which held them back from making the Super Bowl, but They should have a healthy Bo Nix at the beginning of next season. They should have a healthy J.K. Dobbins at the end of next season, and J.K. Dobbins will continue to be a member of the Broncos. The continued success he had at the beginning of last season before he got hurt. So, bigger signing there for the Denver Broncos. Alright, then we saw the Titans also got cornerback Cordell Flott on a 3-year, $45 million deal with $32 million of it guaranteed. Obviously, he played for the Giants last season. Brian Daboll, his head coach at the beginning of the season, is with the Tennessee Titans now, so he will be joining his boys down, his former head coach down in Tennessee. Former Ravens tight end Charlie Kolar is signing a 3-year, $42.3 million deal with the Los Angeles Chargers. Get some more help for Justin Herbert. He's going to be more of a depth piece, I believe. The Chargers already have a solid tight end there, but he'll be a nice addition to that Chargers offense. Oh yeah, and John Franklin Myers goes to the Tennessee Titans, another part of their spending spree today. He had 14.5 sacks over the last couple of seasons for the Denver Broncos and was a really big piece of that defensive line that they had last season. And again, Tennessee needed a lot of help basically anywhere they could get. So, big pickup for Tennessee. Get some help on the defensive line front going forward for the next few years. Former Bears defensive end Demeek Robinson is heading to Houston on a 1-year deal. Houston's defense was phenomenal last season. You get Demeek Robinson, I believe. He might be just more of a depth piece, honestly. Seeing how stacked that Texans defensive line already is. He'll probably just be a rotation in and out piece for them, but definitely some good help for the Texans to continue to bulk up their defense, which has already been the best defensive force in the NFL last season. Former Chargers guard Zion Johnson reached an agreement today, a 3-year, $49.5 million deal with the Cleveland Browns, which includes $32.4 million guaranteed. He's an alright player. He had some struggles last season, but overall he was really solid for the Chargers. This does start to bring into question whether or not Joel Bitonio is going to be coming back to the Browns, because the Browns do need a lot of help on the offensive line. I'm pretty sure all of their O-linemen hit free agency, including Wyatt Teller, who announced he wasn't going back to Cleveland. So the Browns, they basically need anything they can really get up front with the offensive line right now. But they get a piece that with Zion Johnson, he'll most likely be the Wyatt Teller replacement, and now we will be able to see whether or not Joel Bitonio will go back to the Cleveland Browns to help them with their offensive line. Of course, who would I be without not to mention the biggest signing of the day? We know what it was. Mike Evans. He is off to the San Francisco 49ers on a 3-year deal. Obviously, last season he didn't get 1,000 yards because of an injury he suffered early on in the season. By the time he came back, it was simply too late for him to get to that benchmark again. But in 12 seasons with the Bucs, he's a 6-time Pro Bowler, had 866 catches, 13,052 receiving yards, 108 touchdowns, and of course a Super Bowl ring in 2021 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a big loss for Tampa. Obviously, they still got Chris Godwin and Micah Igbokwe to lead the wide receiver room, so well, it does suck losing Mike Evans. You do have some solid guys behind him, including Igbokwe, who had a solid rookie season last year, but he goes off to San Francisco. And if you look at San Francisco, it looks like Pearsall may not be coming back. It looks like Jawan Jennings may not have been coming back. They obviously need some help in that wide receiver room. They also need some help on offense to take pressure off of Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey basically led the Niners in every offensive statistical category other than passing yards last season. While McCaffrey has the capability to do that, he can't do that too many more times without risking injury. They needed to get some help, and they get a big help with that. Hopefully Kittle's going to be healthy for them next season. And with Mike Evans coming into town to San Francisco, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Christian McCaffrey needing to perform. No better way to take that pressure off them than by getting a guy who, up until last season, had gotten 1,000 yards nearly every single season of his career. So, huge pickup for the Niners. Biggest move of the day, in my opinion. So, that's a big one for you right there. Well, I did say that was the biggest. I don't mean to disrespect this guy, who I think is the second biggest. Former Ravens center Tyler Linderbaum signs a record-breaking deal with the Ravens, awarding him with a 3-year, $81 million deal, including $60 million guaranteed. That makes him the highest-paid interior offensive lineman in NFL history. Linderbaum had been phenomenal for the Ravens. We saw the Ravens take Max Crosby from the Raiders earlier in the week. Now we're seeing the Raiders take Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens. I think the general consensus is that the Raiders are going to draft Fernando Mendoza with the first overall pick of this year's draft. The two best things you can give a young quarterback is a decent O-line, especially a guy at center, and then some weapons on the outside. They already had Brock Bowers, who's going to be a huge weapon for Mendoza. I'm expecting Bowers to have a big season. If Mendoza can live up to the hype, he's going to have, in my opinion, the best center in the NFL in front of him to help out with that Raiders offensive line. So, good job of the Raiders. The Raiders still have a lot of cap space left too, so I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see the Raiders continue to spend a little bit more of that money. Obviously, with the Ravens deal, they now have 2 first-round picks, one more in the middle of the draft, one in the beginning. So I'm expecting Mendoza to go first overall, and their second to either be a continuation to bulk up on in the trenches, or maybe them get a weapon for Fernando Mendoza, which is around the time I think a lot of people expect Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State to go. So the Raiders have done a very good job this offseason, in my opinion. They get a lot of help here with Tyler Linderbaum, and hopefully Linderbaum can help Fernando Mendoza develop into the quarterback that I think he has potential to be. I think Mendoza can be great at the NFL level if they simply give him the right pieces to work with in Las Vegas. And obviously with the Raiders getting Linderbaum, that's, again, a huge, huge help for them. The Raiders also agreed to wide receiver Jalen Nailor on a 3-year, $35 million deal, including $23 million guaranteed. Again, a wide receiver for Fernando Mendoza to throw to most likely when he gets to the NFL. Nailor's a very solid wide receiver. He got paid very handsomely by the Raiders, and he's going to be a big help for Mendoza when Mendoza arrives in town to Las Vegas. We saw former Bills guard David Edwards sign a 4-year, $61 million deal with the Saints. The Bills had a lot of free agents this year. They needed some help on the offensive line a little bit, just so Josh Allen can continue to have that time to throw. They get a really big piece there with David Edwards. Jahan Dotson signed a 2-year, $15 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons had some really big news today as well. And for Dotson, it definitely looked like Dotson really needed a change of scenery out of Philadelphia. He's a very solid receiver. Looked great behind A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith at times, but it did look like he kind of needed a change of scenery. He's going to get that by going to the Falcons. He'll most likely be one of the top 2 guys behind Drake London and Kyle Pitts, so solid pickup for the Falcons to get some depth at wide receiver. This is an interesting one. So the Saints are signing running back Travis Etienne to a 4-year, $52 million deal. This will be the first time in Etienne's career that he has not played with Trevor Lawrence, not just at the NFL level, but college as well. They were drafted out of Clemson on the same draft class by the Jaguars. They've been together all at Clemson. They were together throughout all of their NFL careers at this point. Now we're seeing Etienne go to the Saints. Question here, does this mean that the Saints choose to move on from Alvin Kamara, or they're going to try to keep Alvin Kamara and have the 2 running back system in New Orleans led by Kamara and Etienne? But big deal for Travis Etienne going to the Saints, 4 years, $52 million deal. So big pickup there for the Saints. Get another weapon for Tyler Shough. And the Saints, who looked really solid at the end of last season, they got some big help there. Guy on the O-line, and another guy on the backfield. So good job today so far by the Saints. Former Giants wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson reached a 4-year, $78 million deal, including $38 million guaranteed to the Tennessee Titans, a part of Tennessee's many pickups today. But We saw Wan'Dale Robinson for the Giants do a really good job trying to fulfill the shoes of Malik Neighbors at the end of last season. Obviously, he wasn't Malik Neighbors, but he was still a very, very strong wide receiver last year for the Giants. Next, I thought the Giants were going to bring him back so they could have a Wan'Dale match up with, or be in the same wide receiver room with Malik Neighbors. They choose to move on from Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale goes to the Saints on a huge deal for him. He'll go off to Tennessee. He will be a weapon that Cam Ward will be throwing to next season. So Tennessee really needed help about everywhere they could get, and then get a solid guy there with Wan'Dale Robinson, another guy that Cam Ward can throw to, and he should be a very solid option. I am excited to see what Wan'Dale can do next season because he was very fun to watch last year for the Giants. And ETN, Tyler Algier, he's going to the Arizona Cardinals. How about the Arizona Cardinals there a little bit? More stuff about Linderbaum. Oh yeah, before today, Tyler Smith was the NFL's highest paid interior O-lineman with a deal that averaged $24 million a year. Linderbaum's deal averages 27, so again, Tyler Linderbaum is the highest paid interior O-lineman in the NFL, I believe also in NFL history. This one was a bit of a shock. I thought for sure the Eagles were going to get Jalen Phillips back for that defense that the Eagles had last season, but he gets off to Carolina on a 4-year, $120 million deal. He'll be joining Derek Brown on a very, very, very good defensive line for Carolina, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how well Carolina's pass rush is going to be next season, because Jalen Phillips is a huge addition to that when Derek Brown already started to have some really good seasons for Carolina over the last couple of seasons. So that was the first shocker of the day, and I look forward to seeing what Jalen Phillips can do with that Carolina Panthers defense. Big day for punters. The first of 3 deals, I believe, for punters. We saw Jake Bailey sign a 3-year, $9 million deal, included $5 million fully guaranteed. Ryan Wright signed a 4-year, $14 million deal, which included $8 million guaranteed. And we saw Jordan Stout reach an agreement with the Giants on a 3-year, $12.3 million deal, which at the time made him the highest paid punter. But obviously, there was this one, as I've said. The Seahawks definitely paid a really big, hefty price today with the Super Bowl tax. Their standout safety, Kobe Bryant, is off to the Chicago Bears on a 3-year, $40 million deal. Over the last 2 seasons, he had 7 interceptions during his time with Seattle, got 7 forced fumbles and 17 passes defended. So Kobe Bryant was really good for that Seahawks defense last year, especially down the stretch as they got closer to that Super Bowl, which they won. But again, Super Bowl tax is pretty severe, and we're seeing the Seahawks really pay the Super Bowl tax today, with this being the second of 3 big guys move on from Seattle after their Super Bowl win. We saw former Lions linebacker Alex Anzalone signed a 2-year, $17 million deal with the Buccaneers. He obviously lives in Florida. He wanted to stay in Florida, and he's going to be able to do so here, signing with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We saw Kenny Gainwell go on to the Bucs on a 2-year, $14 million deal. Gainwell was very solid, especially in the red zone for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. Bucs will now have a 1-2 punch of Bucky Irving and Kenny Gainwell in that backfield, so that's going to be a fun one to watch next season for the Bucs. Nice pickup for them. They lost Mike Evans, but they did get a couple of decent guys, with Kenny Gainwell being one of them. Use my breath here. There's a lot of deals to go over still. Moving on. Former Saints linebacker Demario Davis reached agreement on a 2-year, $22 million deal with the New York Jets. Or the return to the New York Jets, including $15 million fully guaranteed. Yeah, Jets need any help they can get. Name a position, they need help there, so. That's that for the Jets. They get Demario Davis, solid option. Jets also got Kingsley. Oh, I'm gonna butcher this. Kingsley Enikbare, I think. 1 year, $10 million deal. Again, Jets need any help they can get. And yeah, get a piece there with them. Jets also got defensive end Joseph Osai on a 3-year, $36 million deal, including 22.5 fully guaranteed. Osai, I believe, had about 14.5 sacks over his 4 years in Cincinnati. He also took the roughing the passer penalty that ended the Bengals Super Bowl hopes a couple of years ago, which ended up being their best chance at a Super Bowl over the last few years. But yeah, that's that. This was a bit of a shocker, coming in wake of the Colts re-signing one of their wide receivers, but the Colts ended up trading Michael Pittman to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in addition, the Steelers have signed Pittman to a 3-year, $59 million deal. The trade terms, teams are swapping late-round picks, plus Pittsburgh is preparing to sign Pittman to an extension. So, big deal there for Michael Pittman, who is off to the Pittsburgh Steelers to join DK Metcalf and give some more help to maybe Aaron Rodgers. I think that's the consensus that Rodgers is going back. But if Rodgers is for sure going back, he gets some help there with Pittman. We saw Isaiah Likely sign a 3-year deal with the New York Giants. We saw the Giants lose Dan Bellinger to the Tennessee Titans today. They're going to be replacing him with Isaiah Likely. Likely had always been a very underrated tight end in the NFL because he was behind Mark Andrews. He didn't necessarily get all the playing time he deserved. But Likely is a very, very solid receiver. He's got great attributes. He's a great physical guy. And he made a lot of great plays with the Ravens last season, including that play that got them in the field goal range against Pittsburgh on their last game of the season last year. So that's a big pickup for the Giants, and they get some more help to Jackson Dart and that offense. And yeah. This was a pretty big one. This goes on top of something else we'll add on top of it, but to start off the day, the Dolphins announced that Tua Tagovailoa did get released. That $99 million cap hit will be taking place over the next couple of seasons, with $67.5 million this season, $32.5 million next season, combining up for that $99 million cap hit. But Tua Tagovailoa got cut, and later on today, and later on after that, we saw the former Packers quarterback Malik Willis signed a deal with the Miami Dolphins. Packers fans can attest to you a lot about how great Malik Willis was good for them down the stretch. Your Packers team that struggled and dealt with injuries, especially to Jordan Love. Willis came in at a few different times and really looked really good with that Packers offense. He is now off to the Miami Dolphins. I won't be surprised if he was their starting quarterback next season to replace Tua and really a new regime for the Dolphins as they look to turn over a new leaf and go into the next era. But Malik Willis signs with the Dolphins after the Dolphins release Tua. It is most likely that we're going to be seeing Malik Willis start for the Dolphins next season. Again, more on this, but more on top of the Michael Pittman trade, the Steelers, but the trade opened up $24 million in cap space for the Colts after they re-signed a different receiver. Oh yeah, this was the other big offensive line pickup for the Commanders, but Pro Bowl left tackle Laremy Tunsil agreed on a 2-year, $60.2 million contract extension with Washington to stay in Washington. Tunsil is an amazing blindside blocker. Simply put, he's a great football player, great left tackle, phenomenal blindside blocker. It was critical that the Commanders bring him back. Laremy Tunsil is staying put in Washington. Another former Chiefs cornerback went to LA with former Chief corner Jalen Watson in agreement on a 3-year deal with the Los Angeles Rams. We saw Trent McDuffie got traded from KC to the Rams and immediately signed an extension yesterday. I do literally mean yesterday night. Trent McDuffie signed the 4-year extension with the Los Angeles Rams after being traded to the Rams by the Chiefs. Now we're seeing Jalen Watson go from the Chiefs to Rams, also on a 3-year deal. Take it for them. Cade Otton is returned to Tampa Bay. Yeah, with the Bucs obviously looking like they more and more throughout the beginning of the day that they were going to be losing Mike Evans. They needed to bring some guys back in return to counter. Lost a little bit. Cade Otton's a part of that. Cade Otton returns to Tampa Bay. But this was the first really big signing of the day. Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker goes to the Chiefs. Huge deal right there. Pacheco had a bit of a rough season last year. Chiefs look to get more weapons to get back to where they want to be at, and that's contending for Super Bowls. Earlier today, Travis Kelce announced that he will be returning to the Chiefs for another season, and now we saw the Chiefs sign Kenneth Walker on a multi-year deal. But yeah, huge deal right there. Kenneth Walker is now a Kansas City Chief. We saw earlier today, corner Eric Stokes re-signed with the Raiders on a 3-year deal worth $30 million. So Stokes had been solid for the Raiders. They needed to bring him back. They did. Former first-round pick. Stays with Las Vegas. 3-year, $30 million deal for Eric Stokes to try to help out that Raiders defense, which does need a little bit more help, especially now that Max Crosby is gone. This is most likely why we saw Michael Pittman get traded, but free agent Alec Pierce returns to the Colts on a 4-year, $116 million deal, as it was announced on the Pat McAfee show earlier today. Big deal for bringing Alec Pierce back. He was an amazing deep threat for the Colts all season long. He stays with Indianapolis. Most likely the reason we saw Pittman get traded so they can free up the space to sign Alec Pierce to his really big contract, but Pierce was a really, really good deep threat for the Colts this season. Got wide open downfield a lot. He stays put in Indianapolis for another 4 years. Travis Kelce said he was coming back. And really, we saw a trade yesterday. Minkah Fitzpatrick got traded to the New York Jets in exchange for a 7th. Jets need some help on defense. They get that there with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Also, earlier today, we saw Rashad Gary get traded to the Dallas Cowboys. So, Dallas Cowboys get some more help on the defensive front, which has obviously been their biggest struggle over the last couple of seasons. And again, they currently have the betting favorite odds to sign Trey Hendrickson. So, there's that going for the Cowboys. And I believe that's all the deals we have right now. Let me scroll up. Make sure anything big didn't happen. I'll get to those 2 big ones here in a second. 3-year, $33 million for Jalen Thompson, as I announced earlier. He's going to the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys get some more help on defense there. Patriots offensive tackle Vadarian Loud with the 49ers on a 2-year deal worth max value of $12 million with $5.75 million guaranteed. So, Niners get some help on the offensive line. And this is breaking news. Tua Tagovailoa has signed a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. The move will now give the Falcons 2 left-handed quarterbacks, Tagovailoa and Michael Penix, heading into the 26th season. If they haven't already, they will release Kirk Cousins. I believe he already got released, but Kirk Cousins got released. So they will have Tua in the quarterback room next season for Atlanta. How good he will do, I have no idea. But it's still pretty solid. They're going to keep Penix as the number 1 guy. But Stefanski's offense does have another quarterback to work with, and that is Tua Tagovailoa. We'll be going to the Atlanta Falcons. And this is a big one for the Raiders. Kwity Paye. 3-year, $48 million, 3 years, $48 million with the Las Vegas Raiders. $32 million guaranteed. Again, Raiders started the day with the most cap space in the NFL. They re-signed Eric Stokes on a big deal. They got Tyler Linderbaum in to help the offensive line on a big deal. Kwity Paye isn't exactly going to be Max Crosby levels of good, but he's still a very good defensive end. Great guy on the defensive line for the Colts over the last few seasons. He goes to Vegas on a 3-year, $48 million deal. Big pickup for the Raiders. who have done, in my opinion, a very good job so far this offseason. And again, the Falcons' QB room is now Penix and Tua Tagovailoa. But yeah, that's it so far. Sorry. Don't think there's any big news just yet. Oh, I forgot to mention Devin Bush. Oh yeah, Devin Bush has agreed to a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Chicago Bears. He was a former top 15 pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers a few years back. Hadn't really lived up to the hype until last season under Jim Schwartz's defense, paired up next to Carson Schlesinger. He had a very good season for the Browns last year, and he is going to capitalize on it. I was hoping the Browns would bring him back. There's a good chance that probably the biggest reason he's leaving is because Jim Schwartz left, but Devin Bush capitalizes on his success from last season, goes to the Bears. 3 years, $30 million. And that is it, again, so far. So I've gone over each signing a little bit. Let's see this real quick. I don't know where that happened now, but anyway, let's hop that out of the way. Back to Schefter's page. So, oh yeah, we've seen some big moves throughout the day. Obviously, we are still waiting for, I think, the biggest guy left, and that's Trey Hendrickson. It obviously, with the Bengals getting a new defensive lineman going into town, it does really seem like Trey Hendrickson is probably on his way out. I don't think that the odds are 0 that the Bengals bring Hendrickson back, but they're certainly a bit lower. Obviously, it is kind of favorited right now, but he goes to the Cowboys. I'll look at Polymarket real quick, because I did want to show you this, but because Polymarket did talk about where Hendrickson was probably going to end up going, and I believe they said it was a 70% chance he would go to the Cowboys. I'm not sure if that's 100% true yet. There are some ridiculous ones in here. Oh, so Trey. Yes, there it is. So it's not a 70% chance, but ooh, the Browns are up there. Okay. Yeah, it was huge odds earlier in favor of Dallas. Now we're seeing Cleveland Browns are the second favorite, followed by the Dolphins and the Bucks. Okay. According to the Polymarket. But yeah, earlier today, it was 70% chance. How'd it go down? Is there news coming out that I'm unaware of? If you look at this, 70.3% chance it goes to the Cowboys earlier, drops straight down to 40. Oh, for the NHL fans, Connor Garland just scored his first goal as a Blue Jacket. That's interesting. But yeah, it's 43% chance it goes to Dallas right now. They're still the betting favorite. 41% chance it goes to Cleveland. Maybe the Browns try to recover from the now loss of Devin Bush. It'll be what's big for the Browns right now is that Deshaun Watson only has a year left in his contract. I know that's been a nightmare trying to pay him. Don't worry, he only has 1 year left in his contract. Only 1 more year the Browns got to pay Deshaun Watson. The worst contract in NFL history can finally be fucking gone, for God's sakes. Fuck Deshaun Watson. Sorry, I lost it. I had a moment there, but yeah. I think the Browns have like $7 million in cap space. I'm not too positive right now. I don't see it very likely the Browns get Trey Hendrickson, but obviously Dallas is the betting favorite. Dallas is looking to completely revamp their defense after how bad it was last season. Now that Eberflus is gone, so I am pretty positive we're gonna see Hendrickson go to the Cowboys. Let me look him up real quick. That's not true. Don't listen to this real quick. I don't think it's true, at least. That's not what I went to click, dude. What the fuck? Okay. So yeah, this obviously isn't real. Don't listen to that, but um, it is heavily rumored he's going to go to Dallas. I'm anticipating that Trey Hendrickson's going to go to the Cowboys. There have been rumors throughout the day. I think odds are what Trey's probably going to do right now is that he's probably just waiting to see what the market is. We're obviously saw Kwity Paye get a huge deal. We saw what Jalen Phillips got with Carolina, so I think Trey's probably just waiting to see what the rest of the market looks like while he waits for negotiation. I think that's also why we saw it take a bit longer for Mike Evans to go to San Francisco, because before Mike Evans got signed, Alec Pierce, who has very similar attributes to Mike Evans, got a whole lot of money with the Indianapolis Colts. Maybe he tried to get a little bit more out of the Niners because of that, but with that logic in mind, I think the reason we haven't seen Hendrickson sign with a new team yet is because Trey Hendrickson's waiting to see what he can potentially get with another team. So, or just get with on the market. So, we are still waiting for him right now. Unsigned edge rushers who are in tops. Some unsigned edge rushers that were in NFL Fox's top 100 free agents. So yeah, Joey Bosa is still available. Clavon Chaison's available. Bradley Chubb. Muhammad's available. Jadeveon Clowney, Arnold Ebiketie, and Cam Jordan are still available. So we are still waiting for some big ones to go. Again, I feel like Trey Hendrickson had always been a very underrated guy, and we're still waiting to see where he's going to go. Again, it's most likely, in my opinion, that he's going to go to Dallas, but at least for now, we still wait. Been up for 40 minutes now, so that's pretty cool. But that's what we got so far. I just want to use a live stream format for this because I just want to go by it piece by piece. Because obviously we have a lot of guys who are still waiting to get signed. And a few big players left too. Might be getting signed very soon. There's still a lot of NFL top 100 free agents who are edge rushers who haven't been signed yet, so there's that for you. Yeah, it's been an interesting free agency so far. Yeah, it's a big deal. Boye Mafe going to the Bengals. Let me head back to my screen real quick. Let's pull back up the old Twitter. Any updates from Shefty since I started looking into Trey? I don't think so. Okay, there's a new one. Gardner Minshew backed up Mahomes last season, only played for a little bit before he also got hurt, but Minshew's off to the Cardinals on a 1-year deal. It does look like they were going to rock with Jacoby Brissett for another year as their quarterback. You know, while their results weren't the best, Brissett did play his heart out, so kind of like he did with the Browns too. So, while Brissett skill-wise may not be a top quarterback in the NFL, he's a guy who plays with a lot of heart and a lot of passion, so I think that's the reason the Cardinals, at least at the start of next season, are going to rock with Jacoby Brissett. But I guess they also bring in Gardner Minshew to just add more depth to QB room, I guess. So there's that for you. Yeah, let's look at the NFL. Let's take a look at the NFL draft order right now. We're gonna go to ESPN. Obviously, Raiders got the first pick, followed by the Jets, Cardinals, Titans, and Giants. I think the Raiders pretty obviously. Oh yeah, I believe this pick now belongs to the Raiders as a part of the trade. The Max Crosby deal, but yeah. As far as what I think every team's gonna get, Jets need whatever the fuck they can get at this point, so just go in order. We all know who the first overall pick's gonna be. It's gonna be Mendoza, so not put too much attention on that. Jets need anything they can get at this point. I feel like their two favorites right now are either Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles out of Ohio State. Cardinals, I think, offensive linemen. Same thing for the Titans, maybe, and then Giants. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Caleb Downs go to the Giants, or maybe Cardinal Tate goes to one of these two teams right here. But yeah, that's what the draft order looks like right now. But yeah, Raiders have had a great offseason so far. And Tua signs with the Falcons. Yep. That is that for you. I don't know if we're gonna see any more deals today, or at least any more big ones. And then again, if I do see that Trey Hendrickson gets signed today, I will be live immediately covering it. I don't see it right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this stream. I just want to use a live stream format for this today because I just want to scroll through Shefty's Instagram, Shefty's Twitter page /X now, and look over the deals that have been done so far and just give a little bit of insight as to why the deals are made for each team. But I feel like so far it's been a lot of great decisions by teams, picking up guys that they desperately needed. I feel like the Bengals have done a really solid job getting some solid defenders there. It sucks they're going to lose Hendrickson. I imagine the Bengals will probably draft defense with their first pick. They picked 10th. I've seen Caleb Downs mentioned a bunch for the Bengals, especially recently, so... And obviously, Caleb Downs went to school in state, kind of makes sense in that aspect, but we will continue to see more moves. Again, second Trey Hendrickson gets announced, I will go live. I will talk about Trey Hendrickson to wherever he's going and what it means, as well as follow some of the news coverage around that. But I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast right here. For those who joined me, thank you. A good stream. I know it's not as long as my NHL free agent, my NHL trade deadline stream. It wasn't as long as that, I know, but I just want to come on here and talk for a little bit about the deals that have happened today, as well as to try to get a video out today. We're going to see some more moves made over these next few days, so be on the lookout for that. And again, I'm sorry if my fan was loud. It's hot as hell in here, so there's that for you. But yeah, thank you guys for watching me for this stream. Hope you all have an amazing Monday. Enjoy this great weather, and I'll see you next time, y'all. So peace.